this week, the theme of what we're doing here, what I'm presenting, comes back to remembering gratitude. What are you grateful for in your life? In this particular moment, I'm grateful for those of you that are here to experience this 1 hour meeting with me. And in this meeting, what we're going to take some time for initially is with mindfulness, being mindful of gratitude, how it plays out in your life. When you're grateful in your life for circumstances and all of that, we're going to get into that in just a moment. Following that, what we're going to start with, our opening meditation, is to take the time to recognize the space that your thoughts and emotions arise within. I call it the spaciousness meditation. Old school Zen, it's called shikantaza. So we're going to take some time for that experience. And following that, what we're going to talk about is the impact of stress, and how we recognize that is in our body. And so we'll recognize our sensitivities and the cues that our sensitivities give us that whatever just happened or about to happen, it evokes stress of some type. To really pay attention to the cues that your body, your mind, your heart give you, so that you don't necessarily have to inspire more stress or impose more stress on yourself and others, but you can actually find a way of relating with life that gives you more satisfaction. And then following that, we're going to do two meditations. One is the body-centered mindfulness practice, and piggybacked on that is a heart-centering meditation, which is just really lovely. I'm happy that you're here to experience this with me. And then following that, we will take a look at being mindful of unpleasant emotions and noticing what happened, who said what happened, what didn't happen, and how you were impacted by that. And sometimes unpleasant emotions, whether they're caused by something you see in the news or in your personal life, they can fester. And so what we'll do after this talk about unpleasant emotions is we'll take extract out of Tibetan Buddhism, this teaching of processing unpleasant emotions. It's a relatively short meditation, maybe 20 breaths at the most. And yet on the other side of it, what probably it yields for each of us, it is a greater sense of compassion for this human experience. And with that, we take just a moment to take a look at those words, the human experience. So one of the things that we are all sharing in is this human experience. And then what about that? And so we'll talk more about that as the evening goes on. Starting off now, we're going to just jump right into this now that we're recording it and I've gone over what we're going to do tonight. Let's take a look at gratitude. So one of my teachers used to teach us gratitude is the attitude. Gratitude is also one of the ascension beatitudes. And when your life isn't giving you what you want, if you can find anything to be grateful for, maybe it's the next breath, maybe it's a kind smile, maybe it's a hope or a dream, maybe it was payday and you actually got paid, whatever it is for you, no matter how small or how large, whatever it is that you're grateful for. Maybe it's that you woke up on time and weren't late to work. Or maybe if you were late for work, people understood. What were you grateful for today? So you start to take a look at what that is. And the more you look at the gratitude, and it isn't just about milking sour grapes, it's about really looking at maybe that there were grapes, and if they were sour, maybe they're perfect for this certain Chardonnay, or that it has to be very dry, or whatever the particular is, whatever the particular is in your life that gives you the attitude of gratitude. What are you grateful for today? And so as you go through your day, and this is the mindfulness that goes with the attitude of gratitude, is you start to look for things that you're grateful for. So if you work on the computer, maybe it was that your computer worked today. If there was a glitch, your IT person was available and they helped you figure it out. Or perhaps it was something else, whatever it was for you. What were you grateful for today? So little by little, you start to look through your life, especially this week when we're looking at this as a theme. What are you grateful for? An attitude of gratitude. You start to look for things that you're grateful for. There will be disappointments. How were those disappointments helpful in terms of giving you whatever your next step was? So whatever it is that life that arises in our lives, even unpleasantness, how does it serve you? So with loving kindness practice, the way that it serves you is it gives you the food, gives you something to work on. And then as you work on it and love grows in your heart for that moment, then you're grateful for the love that grew in your heart in spite of the circumstances. And I hope it's not too disruptive if I acknowledge the people for you who show up. And I'm waving back to Gout Gautumogra. I'm not sure if I pronounced your name correctly. I hope that was well enough. And I'm waving to you. Thank you for being here tonight. So let's go ahead and start with our opening meditation of tonight. Now that I've talked a little bit about an attitude of gratitude. And with meditation practice, there are certain things that, for the most part, are always helpful. So first of all, repositioning your body on the surface that your body is resting. And whether you're going to sit back in a chair or you're going to sit somewhat upright, that's really up to you. You decide what you want to do, what's best for you tonight. And then as we go into the meditation, there's a certain style of breathing that's very helpful. It's called diaphragmatic breathing, which means that, just a second here. Diaphragmatic breathing involves noticing the way that your shoulders, chest, and belly wall expand on your inhalations and release on your exhalations. So this isn't a shallow breath, but this is a full body breath. And as we get into it, you'll see where we go. So very gently allowing your eyelids to drift downward until they do close. And taking a slow and gentle deep breath in and gently releasing this breath and allowing your breath to find its own natural rhythm once again, free of control. And beginning to scan, to feel on the inside of your being, looking for those locations of stress, tension, pain, and discomfort. And just very gently, and sometimes we grab thoughts, we grab emotions, very gently engaging, tightening around these locations, and softening and releasing. And very gently bringing the very center of the focus of your attention to the experience of breathing by observing the way that your shoulders, chest, and belly wall expand on your inhalations and release on your exhalations. Just the natural rhythmic movement of your breath, not hyperventilating, and yet it's this deep shoulder, chest, and belly wall expansion on your inhalations and releasing on your exhalations. And as you allow your awareness to experience the way that your body movement accommodates your breath and breathing, the beating of your heart and your pulse, and the way that your breath has this warmth and coolness. So as you experience your inhalations and the way that your shoulders, chest, and belly wall expand on your inhalations and release on your exhalations, also noticing this warmth and coolness. You might also be aware, as part of this warmth and coolness, that on your inhalations, your breath may seem more cool. And on your exhalations, your breath might seem more warm. And continuing to be aware of the way that your shoulders, chest, and belly wall expand on your inhalations and release on your exhalations, and also including in your awareness this sense of warmth and coolness of your breath. Natural rhythmic movement of your breath as your shoulders, chest, and belly wall expand on your inhalations and release on your exhalations, along with being aware of the warmth and coolness of your breath and becoming aware of the moist and dryness of your breath. Noticing the way that your shoulders, chest, and belly wall expand on your inhalations, release on your exhalations, and also this awareness of warmth and coolness and moist and dryness. The natural rhythmic movement of your breath. And watching as you experience the way that the movement of your body, the expansion of your shoulders, chest, and belly wall accommodate your breath and breathing, and the release that naturally comes. And also the awareness that's also right here, and allowing your awareness to experience this natural rhythmic movement of your breath, this diaphragmatic breathing, and also the beating of your heart and your pulse that travel throughout your whole being. Notice the way that your awareness is capable of experiencing so many different facets of your life within the same awareness. The way that you're aware of the way that your shoulders, chest, and belly wall expand on your inhalations and release on your exhalations, along with the moist and dryness of your breath and the warmth and coolness of your breath, the beating of your heart and your pulse, and also beginning to become aware of the place within your mind where your thoughts and emotions arise. Noticing the place that your thoughts and emotions arise within your mind. And as you experience this diaphragmatic breathing, the warmth and coolness of your breath, the moist and dryness of your breath, the beating of your heart and your pulse, and the space that your thoughts and emotions arise within. Noticing the thoughts and emotions and the natural course of thoughts, which may be random thoughts, it may be directed thoughts, it may be a series of thoughts that become a fantasy, and beginning to notice the space that your thoughts and emotions arise within. Continuing to be aware of the way that your shoulders, chest, and belly wall expand on your inhalations and release on your exhalations with these other qualities of breathing, warmth and coolness, moist and dryness, along with the beating of your heart and your pulse, and also this amazing awareness that's also aware of the space that your thoughts and emotions arise within. And also beginning to be aware within this space that your thoughts and emotions arise, this gentle calmness that's right here. As you are aware of the way that your body movement accommodates your breath and breathing, the beating of your heart and your pulse, the space that your thoughts and emotions arise within, and this calm place in this space where your thoughts and emotions arise, this calmness that's always here. Continuing to be aware of the way that your body movement accommodates your breath and breathing, the beating of your heart and your pulse, the space that your thoughts and emotions arise within, and this amazing calm that's right here within the space that your thoughts and emotions arise. And gently allowing this calm to saturate your being, while being aware of the way that your body movement accommodates your breath and breathing, the beating of your heart and your pulse, the space as your thoughts and emotions arise within, and this calm that saturates your being. And taking another moment to unhook and float and drift within this calm that saturates your being. Continuing to be aware of the way that your body movement accommodates your breath and breathing, the beating of your heart and your pulse, the space that your thoughts and emotions arise within, and this calm that saturates your being. And taking another slow and gentle deep breath in, and gently releasing this breath and allowing your breath to find its own natural rhythm once again, free of control. Slowly beginning to move your fingers and your toes, gently stretching your hands and your feet, slowly moving your wrists and your ankles, gently shrugging your shoulders and stretching your back and your neck and your arms and your legs. And when you're ready, slowly let your eyes come back open and notice if the room and space around you seems a little different than before. And if you feel a little different than you did. If there is a difference and you're curious about this difference or really enjoying it, please soften into it and recognize that this is a gift that you've given to yourself. And just taking a moment to wave back to Pedro Lugo 414. Thank you for being here. I'm very grateful to each of you in being here with me tonight. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, and you would like our conversation tonight to explore other dimensions of all of this, please write in the comment area, and I will do my best to include it in tonight's meeting. And if the theme that you're curious about seems more personal and you'd like to have some one-to-one time, maybe a coaching session, you can look at my profile here, or you can write me an email or direct message me. If you're going to send me an email, you can direct your email to info@mark-pelter.com, and we'll set up a time for a coaching call. So let's go a little further. That was our spaciousness meditation. Now, you know, in our lives, there are many impacts, whether it's a really wonderful meal, a wonderful time with friends, or maybe it's the reverse. The meal wasn't so good. Maybe you didn't eat today. Maybe you didn't have contact with people that you prefer to be with, and the people that you were with are people that you wished you hadn't been with, but you were there. And so whatever these impacts are, just give yourself a chance to register them, register the feeling. So, for example, notice that if you have an automobile or you are in a vehicle that has been built, let's say, within the past, 10 years, then if that's the case, you know that these vehicles have sensors. And especially the newer vehicles, they'll let you know if someone's too close to you on one side or another side, or they'll let you know that your lights haven't been turned on. They give you information. They're sensitive. And it isn't just that these automobiles are sensitive or these smartphones are sensitive, but you're sensitive. And your sensitivities were meant to be here. This was a gift. Now, granted, it might not seem like a gift because some sensitivities reveal very unpleasant content, whether they're thoughts, emotions, feelings, whatever awareness is, whatever it is for you. They're pleasant and unpleasant. And in the way this works, if you take a look at it, most of us, probably the preponderance of people, feel the whole gamut. Now, some people feel things much more acutely than others. And yet, no matter who you may be, there are pleasant and unpleasant sensations that we're aware of. We have these sensitivities. And how we respond or react to our sensitivities, it makes a difference. You know how it is if you're with someone that is sensitive and they let you know what you're doing to their sensitivities. And they're blaming you because they're sensitive, because that's unpleasant to them, and they blame you for making them uncomfortable. You know what that feels like. And on the other side, maybe at times you feel that other people are deliberately making you uncomfortable. And I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable as I talk about this. We're just including this in our conversation, this conversation about sensitivities. And there's a reason for that, because this is a useful process. It's useful because as you learn how to work with your process, it's freeing. And it frees you of the blame shame game, and also gives you more appreciation, more compassion for the human experience. We are all sharing in this human experience. And I assure you that there are many more really, really good people than there are people that are not so good. Not so good because what they do to inflict harm on others is a very, very unpleasant and unfortunate circumstance. So before we go too much farther into this, I'm waving back to lit underscore like underscore Lena. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Okay, so next, what we're going to do is another meditation. And for those of you that haven't been in this space before, what I want you to know that's part of this 1 hour session is in this session, there are short little talks. And then in between the short little talks are short little meditations. And the reason for that is certainly we can sit and meditate for an hour. I think you'll get more from this hour if this is kind of a smorgasbord of talks and meditations. So you get a sampling of this style of meditation. And we felt a sense of calm as we experienced this space that our thoughts and emotions are arising within. And this next meditation, what this one involves, as we were talking about, your sensitivities, is I call it a body-centered mindfulness practice that goes way back. And these teachings, we're so fortunate that all these teachings came forward so that our lives can be enriched. We can find more happiness and acceptance of the human condition as it arises in ourselves and others. So this next meditation starts out with this body-centered mindfulness practice, really focused on releasing stress. And then piggybacked on that is this heart-centering meditation that's very, very rewarding. So let's go ahead and do this. So once again, please reposition your body on the surface that your body's resting. Maybe wiggle and jiggle a little bit to take the kinks out. And then when you're ready, just rocking a little to the right and the left and finding your center in that direction. Maybe rocking a little forward and back and finding your center in that direction. And if you're leaning back in the chair, whatever is right for you, you decide, or sitting upright. If you're sitting upright, what can help with meditation is to feel like there's a cord that comes out through this top part of your head. It almost kind of lifts you up. And then you let your shoulders drop and very gently allowing your eyelids to drift downward until they do close. And taking a slow and gentle deep breath in and gently releasing this breath and allowing your breath to find its own natural rhythm once again, free of control. And again, there's this diaphragmatic breathing, allowing your shoulders, chest, and belly wall to expand on your inhalations and release on your exhalations. And beginning to scan to feel on the inside of your being from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, looking for the locations and content where your stress, tension, pain, and discomforts reside, whether they're physical, mental, emotional, and or spiritual, or any combinations thereof, no matter how large or how small, whether they're sourced from rapid growth and the stress that goes with that, and the joys that go with that as well, and also the stress that comes from anxieties, worries, and concerns, misfortunes, and where all of this resides within your being. And you know, sometimes we grab our thoughts, we grab our emotions, and giving these locations and content a very warm, tender, nurturing, caring, loving, inclusive, and connecting embrace. Allowing your love to work for you and through you, and tightening your embrace just a little bit more in order to give these locations and content a very open-hearted, full-hearted, warm, tender, nurturing, caring, loving, inclusive, and connecting embrace. And softening and releasing. Gently bringing the very center of the focus of your attention to this feeling of release. And allowing this feeling of release to flow into all parts of your being. And allowing all of your senses to register this experience of release. And softening into this experience of release. Scanning once again from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, looking for the locations and content where your stress, tension, pain, and discomforts reside, whether they're physical, mental, emotional, and or spiritual, or any combinations thereof, no matter how large or how small. And this time, giving these locations and content the gentlest of warm, tender, nurturing, caring, loving, inclusive, and connecting embraces. And softening your embrace and releasing. Gently bringing the very center of the focus of your attention to this feeling of release. And allowing this feeling of release to flow throughout your entire being. And allowing all of your senses to register this experience of release. And softening into this experience of release. Scanning one more time from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, looking for the locations and content where your stress, tension, pain, and discomforts reside, whether they're physical, mental, emotional, and or spiritual, or any combinations thereof, no matter how large or how small. And this time, with the lightest touch that's possible for you, whisper soft, barely touching the fringes of these locations and content with a warm, tender, nurturing, caring, loving, inclusive, and connecting contact. Barely touching. And softening and releasing. Gently bringing the very center of the focus of your attention to this feeling of release. And allowing this feeling of release to flow throughout your entire being. And allowing all of your senses to register this experience of release. And very slowly and gently bringing the very center of the focus of your attention to the dull ache in your heart, the doorway in. And you know this dull ache in your heart, it's always here. And leaning backward into the dull ache in your heart, leaning backward into the doorway into your heart, and leaning back more and more and more until you somewhat plop inside your own heart. And allowing all of your senses to register the experience of being on the inside of your heart. It might seem more calm. It might seem more quiet. And softening into this experience of being on the inside of your heart. And notice the place within your heart where your love always arises, whether your love is for a person, a place, a thing, a two-legged, a four-legged, a no-legged, whether your love is for someone on this plane of existence or any other. Your love always arises from this place. And allowing all of your senses to register this pure love that lives within you. And softening into your pure love and allowing your pure love to saturate your being. Perhaps noticing some of the essences of love that are vibrations within your love, like caring and kindness and compassion for the human experience. And allowing all of your senses to register this vibration of connection, including its want, its appetite. And you know what it's like to feel connected to a person, a place, a thing, and also to want to connect when it isn't possible for whatever reason. And allowing your vibration of connection to flow through you and around you. And allowing all of your senses to register this pure connection that lives within you. And allowing your pure connection to saturate your being. And notice how fulfilling it is to experience your pure connection that's always here. Feeling your pure connection to the bottom of your being, to the bottom of your heart. And allowing this feeling of pure connection to wash through you, to wash over you and through you, to saturate your being. And as it touches everything within and without, this joy that comes back within you. And taking another slow and gentle deep breath in, and gently releasing this breath and allowing your breath to find its own natural rhythm once again, free of control. Beginning to move your fingers and your toes, gently stretching your hands and your feet, slowly moving your wrists and your ankles, gently shrugging your shoulders and stretching your back and your neck and your arms and your legs. And when you're ready, slowly let your eyes come back open and notice if the room seems a little different than before, and if you feel a little different than you did. If there is a difference and you're enjoying this difference, please soften into it and recognize that this is a gift that you've given to yourself. And we're including and welcoming by waving back to Becca_Silver 2. Thank you for being here tonight. Part of mindfulness also is being aware of unpleasant emotions. One type of unpleasant emotions is seeing when others around you are having unpleasant emotions. But also, there's this inner part of our journey, isn't there, where we experience the events of our life, and some of them are very unpleasant. We have these unpleasant feelings about all different sorts of things. Certainly, there are pleasant feelings, and we enjoy those. And there also, in terms of our sensitivities, are these sensitivities to unpleasant emotions. Now, one of the things we know about emotions is when we try to push them down or push them away, they have a way of getting worse. And there's only so far away that we can get from our pleasant emotions before we start to create them and manifest them as a way to face them. And if we face them, then we can erase them. If we name it, we can claim it. We can process it through. And so there's all manners of processing unpleasant emotions that brings us more happiness and more compassion for ourselves and others for this human experience that we share. So let's take a little moment in time right now for processing some unpleasant emotions. So first of all, with this type of practice in Tibetan Buddhism and the Lojong practice from Tibetan Buddhism, this meditation is called Tonglen, which means giving and receiving. So you know when you have unpleasant emotions, you're breathing them in and you're breathing them out, and that doesn't necessarily help to process through them. And there are a variety of different ways of processing unpleasant emotions. This is just one way. And it may not get all the way everything gone for you, but at least maybe it helps to make it more manageable for you. And we always start with the worst one. And the reason we start with the worst one is because that way you know that you're not making it up. And if you feel even a tiny morsel better, then you know something helped. So I'm asking each of you to pick the most unpleasant emotion of today, of these past few days, maybe past week. What was the worst emotional impact that you either received or saw that's lingering in your mind, in your heart? You pick one. Pick the worst one. And then once again, as we meditate, taking a moment just to reposition your body on the surface that your body's resting, and very slowly and gently allowing your eyelids to drift downward until they do close. And on the next in-breath, breathing in your most unpleasant emotion into every pore and cell of your being as a gift of generosity and spaciousness for yourself and your human experience. Breathing out love, kindness, compassion, caring, and connection through every cell and pore of your being as a gift of generosity and spaciousness for yourself and your human experience. Breathing in your most unpleasant emotion into every pore and cell of your being as a gift of generosity and spaciousness for yourself and your human experience. Breathing out love, kindness, compassion, caring, and connection through every cell and pore of your being as a gift of generosity and spaciousness for yourself and your human experience. Breathing in your most unpleasant emotion into every pore and cell of your being as a gift of generosity and spaciousness for yourself and your human experience. Breathing out love, kindness, compassion, caring, and connection through every cell and pore of your being as a gift of generosity and spaciousness for yourself and your human experience. Continuing to breathe, leaving your eyelids closed, and considering if we had some magical device capable of measuring all of the qualities and distinctions of human emotion, of everyone on this plane of existence in this moment, how many of them would register so close to your measurement as to be indistinguishable? Again, even though their circumstances may be profoundly different than yours, how many of them would measure so close to your measurement as to be indistinguishable? One other person, perhaps 10 other people, maybe hundreds or thousands, or even millions of people feeling just like you and just like me. And on the next in-breath, breathing in your most unpleasant emotion into every pore and cell of your being as a gift of generosity and spaciousness for all of them and yourself and this human experience. Breathing out love, kindness, compassion, caring, and connection through every cell and pore of your being as a gift of generosity and spaciousness for all of them and yourself and this human experience. Breathing in your most unpleasant emotion into every pore and cell of your being as a gift of generosity and spaciousness for all of them and yourself and this human experience. Breathing out love, kindness, compassion, caring, and connection through every cell and pore of your being as a gift of generosity and spaciousness for all of them and yourself and this human experience. Breathing in your most unpleasant emotion into every pore and cell of your being as a gift of generosity and spaciousness for all of them and yourself and this human experience. Breathing out love, kindness, compassion, caring, and connection through every cell and pore of your being as a gift of generosity and spaciousness for all of them and yourself and this human experience. Continuing to breathe, leaving your eyelids closed and evaluating. Do you feel any more compassion for yourself and your human experience than you did before? Do you feel any more compassion for others who, like you, have these feelings about their human experience? Do you feel any more compassion for all of them and yourself and this human experience? And when you're ready, slowly and gently allowing your eyelids to come back open, and notice if the room and space around you seems a little different than before, and if you feel a little different than you had. If there is a difference, and you're enjoying this difference or curious about it, please soften into it and recognize that this is a gift that you've given to yourself. Taking just a moment to wave back to Therapy on the Spectrum. Great to see you here tonight. Thank you for being here. So tonight, what we did is we started off with our theme for the week, which is gratitude. What are you grateful for? And we talked a little bit about gratitude for yourself, for others, for circumstances, whatever it may be, for opportunities to practice and join in meetings like this that potentially are enriching. And following that, what we did is our spaciousness meditation and experience the space that our thoughts and emotions arise within and this subtle calm that's always right here. Following that, we talked about being mindful of the impacts of stress on our life and being sensitive, recognizing that we often experience these impacts in our body. And so little by little becoming more aware of our body and how our body contracts around impacts or denies impact when it's happened, and little by little telling ourselves the truth about the impacts of stress and events in our life. Following that, we did our body-centered mindfulness practice and released stress. And thought of piggybacked on that, we did our heart-centering meditation. And a part of that was experiencing this profound sense of pure connection that lives within us. Afterward, we talked about being mindful of unpleasant emotions and the way our body lets us know about these things, and also what we can do about it, ways that we can process unpleasant emotions that maybe don't clear the decks entirely, but helps us to free ourselves at least of some of it. And also to gain compassion for the human experience. And so, the following that, what we just did is processing through unpleasant emotions. And with that processing of unpleasant emotions, we experience this compassion for the human experience, for ourselves and others. And I'm just going to wave back to one other person before we close for tonight. I'm waving back to it's underscore Tommy underscore Shelby underscore 00. Thank you for being with us tonight. And just so you know, for a future reference, I don't do live video for people on Instagram. If you want to participate in an event like that, I do have a Zoom space. So if you go to my website, which is Art of Connection Now is one word, artofconnectionnow.com, you'll see a link to Monday meditation. And that's the way that you can enter into that space. But there are some agreements also. So in any event, and if any of you are interested in having a coaching session, which are very rewarding, please either direct message me here on Instagram or send me an email to one of my emails, which is info@mark-pelter.com, and we'll set up a coaching session for you. So tonight, and the way that I like to end these meetings is with the Beauty Way prayer from the Native American Church. And so because I'm recording this in the Zoom space, I like to use a specific virtual background, which is the Milky Way. And the way that that plays into this Beauty Way prayer is this. First of all, in Native American theology, the directions are sacred. And one of the ways of cluing into the directions, if you're not on one of the poles, north or south, is that you see where the sun rises and you see where the sun sets. So on a clear day, or there's daylight, you can see where the brightest light, and if that's going to be in the east, where the sun rises, and it's going to set in the west. That gives you some of the directions. When you know east and west, then that helps you to know north and south. And the teaching is that when you know what the directions are, you know where you stand. So if you extrapolate that or use it as a contemplation, if you know the directions of your life, if you're going forward or regressing or whatever's going on, if you're reacting to circumstances, wishing that you could find compassion, then you know where you stand. And then what? The then what part of it is growth is always possible if you want it. And often growth is uncomfortable, but in the big picture makes you happier. So in terms of beauty, I like to use the Milky Way as a metaphor because the Milky Way is one of many forms of nature, of the beauty of nature, and the beauty of nature inspires this sense of awe, the sense of awe of something greater than just ourselves, greater than our personality. And so if we consider the Milky Way, it's so huge, just in size alone, it's so huge that it transcends our understanding. And yes, we could say it's so many light years across and all of that. It's still pretty darn big. And also in terms of its longevity, it's so much longer than one human birth that, again, it transcends our understanding. And at the same time, it doesn't diminish our sense of self but it helps us to know we're a part of something that transcends our understanding, which is amazing, isn't it? So when I say the word beauty, this is the type of beauty I'm referring to. You don't have to buy into my stuff with the Milky Way. You pick whatever works for you. And in terms of our mental capacities, mental abilities, we can somewhat extend our awareness. So when I say beauty in front of you, you can extend your awareness maybe to that part of the Milky Way that's in front of you. Okay, so here we go. Beauty that is in front of us, and beauty that is behind us, and beauty that is to the left of us, and beauty that is to the right of us, and beauty that is underneath us, and beauty that is above us, and beauty that is all around us. And it is extremely important to remember the beauty that is within us. Dear friends, there's a word spoken in the language that the Navajo people speak. This word is Ojnahuslein, which means walk in beauty. Ojnahuslein, Ojnahuslein, Ojnahuslein. Dear friends, walk in beauty. And please remember that you bring the beauty with you wherever you go. Walk in beauty. I'm going to say the name of my website, Lit Like Gene. My website is Art of Connection Now as one word. That's artofconnectionnow.com. And I hope to see you again real soon. Dear friends, walk in beauty. Please remember you bring the beauty with you wherever you go. Namaste, Visho, many blessings, and walk in beauty. Thank you again for being here tonight.